So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. So majority of you people who watch this channel are in the e-commerce niche for your social media marketing agency, for your SMMA, right? Or if you're not in it already, you want to make the transition. But the big problem that a lot of people have is reaching out to clients in the e-commerce niche and actually signing on clients. Now, in this video, I'm going to go through the e-commerce outreach checklist that you need to make sure that you implement into every single email that you ever send out. Bear in mind, I recommend email outreach for the e-com niche just because it's what enabled me to build my own agency to, where it is today, multiple six figures, high multiple six figures, as well as it's what routinely works best for the students of the Quantum Leap e-com agency program as well. I'm going to be providing you with a checklist that you need to make sure that you take every client through in terms of the email before you send it out. This checklist will not only enable you to, reach out in an efficient and effective manner, but also actually get the best response rates and meeting book rates. I'm going to give you a bunch of things that you need to be thinking about and ensure that you implement before you send out your emails. As always, guys, just before we jump into the video, make sure you go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff massively helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And with that being said, let's jump straight into it. So this first thing goes without saying, a majority of you will know to do this already, and that's to only ever reach out to the owner of the brand specifically. Don't reach out to the info at, don't reach out to the sales at, right? Only ever reach out to the owner specifically. That's it, right? And as I say, majority of you guys know that, but I wanted to make sure that I say that before we move forward because that's vital. You have to reach out to the owner. Now, the second point is that I want you to ask yourself something. Who does the owner of an e-commerce brand care about the most? Who do they care about the most? The customer. Their customers. That's who they care about the most. They don't really care about anything else. They don't really care about anyone else. They just care about their customer. If they're a genuinely good e-com brand, right? They know what they're doing. They should be solely customer focused, and so they care about their customer the most. And so within your outreach, what you want to do is come across as a customer. Now, how do you do that? Well, the best way to come across as a customer is in the subject line, because it will be very evident once they open up the email that you're not a customer. But to get high open rates, right? Myself and the students of the community are routinely getting 80+% open rates, and it's because we come off as a customer. Now, how do you do that in the subject line? First things first, don't say something along the lines of like, are you looking to increase Facebook ads, or are you wanting to like make more money from Facebook ads, or hey Jerry, I can see you're leaving a bunch of money on the table right now. Don't say stuff like that, because everybody knows that you're not, first of all, a customer, and they just think you're some sort of spam or whatever, right? You look like a sales email, and it's the same idea behind Facebook ads. You don't want your ads to look like ads, right? And it's the same thing for email. You don't want your emails to look like a sales email. Best way to combat that, come across as a customer. So simple things. A really, really good one that we're personally using at Bats Consulting right now. I'd like to try and tailor the subject line to the client we're reaching out to as much as possible. But if there's a brand that we reach out to and there's just nothing I can think of, the subject line that I always fall back on, and I'm literally going to tell you so you can literally use it, is quick Q. That's the subject line. Quick Q. Not even question, and obviously that meaning a question, right? Quick question. But I literally just write quick Q, all lowercase, no capitals, all lowercase, quick Q. First of all, that looks so informal, which is actually good, right? And also you look like a customer, like quick Q. Like, no businesses are speaking in that format, and you'll find that a lot of e-commerce brands don't want to speak in that format either, because they're very informal themselves. And so when they see somebody reach out like that, they think it's a customer, they open it up, they realize it's not. But because your first couple of lines hook them in, which is what I'm going to get onto, they then read through the rest of the email, and then that's when you see these real good open rates as well as conversion rate. Now, on the topic of conversion rates, let's have a look more specifically at the body of an email. As I mentioned, you want to get the best open rates possible, but if you get 100% open rates, for example, but your email body doesn't hook them in, then getting that 100% open rate is useless, because it's not, they're not moving on, they're not moving forward, they just open it and then they're bouncing. So what you want to do in order to combat that really common issue is you want to hook them in within the first couple lines. The way that you do that is by making those first couple lines tailored specifically to that e-commerce brand. That is the best way to hook them in, because once you've hooked them in, you've got them, and then you can start to slowly but surely transition into the sales. And again, we're going to get onto that further along. So that's the first thing. You make sure that those first couple lines are personalized to them, because if they're not personalized, it's not going to hook them in, because to be honest, nobody, people, and I'll say e-com brand owners, but really everybody in the world doesn't really care about other people other than themselves, right? If you open up your email with, hey, my name is X, Y, and Z, and we do this, this, and this for e-commerce brands, it's got nothing to do with them. So they're not going to be as interested, and they're not going to get as hooked in as much. Whereas if you open up the email with, specific things. I'm talking very, very specific things that only, somebody who has done their adequate research on that brand would know. Then if you do that, then that's going to hook them in. For example, something that I always speak about with the quantum agency students is going onto their About Us page. Look at articles that have been written about them. Go into their LinkedIn page, go into their Instagram page, and just look for something that's specific to them. For example, right, this is not going to apply to every single brand, but there may be one brand you reach out to where you find out that the owners were born in a specific area within Australia, for example, right? And you realize that that same area is where your grandparents were born, or your mum was born, or whatever it is. Tie that in, make that the first couple lines, because once you do that, you're gonna hook them in, and then from there you can start to slowly transition out of that into your sales. And really the back half of the email can be a script, because at that point they're hooked in because you've made those first couple of lines resonate with them, so the back half of it can be a script. Now, if you take one thing away from this video, it ought to be this next point. And that is to make your emails as poignant as possible. Just get straight to the point. Don't drag on the email. Don't add in unnecessary information. Just cut the fat and get straight to the point. Because if there's one thing that e-com owners lack, it's a lack of time. And so if you just keep going on about something, you just keep blabbing on about whatever it is, certain aspects of, even if it's about them, they're probably still not going to read it, right? They're gonna zone out, especially if you do it about yourself and who you are and what you do and what you've been able to do for X, Y, and Z company. They will zone out, they'll click away, and you've lost them. You need to be poignant. You want to try and get your point across in the least amount of words possible. Now, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you got to accept the fact that this is going to come with time. You're going to become a lot more articulate as you continue to conduct outreach. It just happens over time. But, another really good way to do it is literally have a structure. First personalized line, who you are, what's the CTA, what are you trying to get them to do? Just have that structure and then write based on that structure and just try and stick to it as much as possible. First personalized line, one sentence, make it personalized. Next, who you are, my name is X, Y, and Z, we do this. One sentence. The next line, what's the CTA of the email? What are you trying to get the prospect to do? Try and get that across in maybe 1 to 2 sentences. That's it. That's the email done. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Literally 5, 6 lines maybe is more than enough, and that's actually going to convert far better than a huge email would. Now, you may have seen a couple other videos on this channel where I speak about highly targeted emails where you do build out an entire email, very, very in depth. But you only want to do that for those brands where they're perfect, where everything looks amazing. 1,000% that you're gonna absolutely kill it with them. Then you can go ahead and create a bit more of a lengthy, in-depth email. But the way that you hook them in is by making it 100% about them. Speak specifically about certain things. There's no scripting in it, because if you script and it's that length, you're gonna lose them. Okay, really, that's the only way that you're going to be able to hook in a reader for that long, for that amount of time to read that big email, is by making everything tailored to them. And as I say, this is a strategy that we do use at Bax Consulting as well. I actually had a student the other day reach out to me saying that he implemented this for a couple of clients that he's reached out to, and he signed a 3K per month client. It's that easy. It's that simple. Okay. But as I say, the only way that those are going to convert is when they're entirely targeted to the specific brand. For the average Joe brand, you've got to make it poignant. And not only is it going to increase conversion rates, but it helps you as well. It helps you become more efficient because you don't need to write as much, right? You're only writing 5, 6 lines instead of 15, 20, 30 lines, huge paragraphs. Now, the final point on the checklist that you need to ensure every single email that you ever send out to e-commerce clients has is a direct, straight to the point, once again, CTA, call to action. And you've got to make that call to action have no downside but infinite upside. If it doesn't have that, if it has a lot of downside, they've got to invest a lot, meaning time, and there's not too much upside, or it doesn't seem as though there's too much upside, they're never going to take the CTA. They're never going to action on the call to action. And it's because these, they don't feel as though it's a no-brainer. You've got to make the CTA a no-brainer, where it's like there's just literally no reason why they wouldn't respond, or whatever the CTA is, you've got to change that and make it specific to you. And obviously that's what we go through in the Quantum Agency program. We go through the best CTAs, the best call to actions that routinely work. But whatever you're using, you have to make it so that it's an absolute no-brainer. If it isn't a no-brainer, they won't take it. So for example, one of the CTAs that we're using right now is we're actually asking prospects if they want to see a Loom video. In that Loom video, then we kind of, actually provide value. First things first, we provide a lot of value up front. And then from there, at the end of that Loom video, then we can kind of transition into, pitching the call at that point. But, once we do pitch the call, we've already given them a whole heap of value. So they know us, they like us. And then for the most part, the conversion rates or the Loom to call book rate is crazy because we've built so much value. But in order to get them to respond initially saying that they want to see the Loom video, we've got to make that a complete no-brainer. The way that we actually go about that, I'll be very open with you guys right now. The way that we're going about that right now is we're basically saying that they can pull actionable things from the Loom video that we're going to go through, and they can implement it into their own brand, and they'll be able to see a noticeable increase in results or whatever, because we actually give audiences to the client, right? In that Loom video, we tell the client, or the potential client, I should say, literal audiences that they can take and implement into the Facebook Ads Manager. And obviously, again, for those of you in the program, you guys know what those audiences are. But we tell clients, we're like, look, run ads to this audience and you will see an amazing ROAS. Do this with your copy and you will see an increase. We're literally telling people what to do. And that's going to go against what a lot of people say, is because they it's kind of like, hide it, save it so that they pay you and then you implement it. I kind of flip that on its head right now, and it's a new strategy, as I say, that we're trying, and it's working really, really well. I've literally flipped it on its head, and I'm giving everything away almost. Not everything, because obviously, they can only take so much and implement so much on their own. That's where we come in to actually take over. But we're giving them a lot of stuff up front. We're giving them exact audiences, exact pieces of copy to write, exact creatives to get, to test and run, etc. And it's working really well. And so, as I say, in the CTA, going back to my original point, the CTA is an absolute no-brainer, because I'm literally telling them, look, let's send over a Loom video, or, however we structure it. I'm not going to go too into depth, but I tell them, like, look, I'll send over a Loom video, and, you don't have to do anything. Just watch it and you will be able to pull actionable things that not only your, either yourself or your, marketing team can implement themselves, and you will see a genuine increase in results. So at that point, it's a no-brainer for people to say yes, that they want to see the Loom video, because they have to spend 10 minutes watching the Loom video, but then they'll be able to get like a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8x ROI on the ad campaigns that I tell them to implement, right? So that's how you want to go about making the CTA an absolute no-brainer. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this kind of checklist type thing that I've built out for you guys made sense. And honestly, you need to start implementing this into every email that you send out, because it will help your conversion rate so much. If you reach out to qualified brands and you implement this checklist, it's game over. I guarantee you will see an increase in your calls booked, and obviously client conversion rates as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.